I haven't made very many videos this year. The gardening didn't go as well as I wanted it to. This is what I have for this bed so far. There's 6 pepper plants. This one's getting some peppers on it already. I was kind of unsure. I don't know if I should pick them off and let the plants grow more or let them start producing now. My one marigold. I think all my tomato plants, maybe all except for like one in between this bed and that one, are ones that I found growing up in the yard. So I dug them up and put them in here. And I bought these green stock planters. And of course, just last night, this one all fell over. So now I have to go through and clean that all up. And they look like the pots are okay. This thing though is no good anymore because that got cracked. I don't think I'm going to stack these ones up as high. I didn't really like how much taller those ones were than the shorter one. I'm a little bit iffy if I want to keep that one as tall or not. This one was a little bit uneven, but it's been fine for like a week. I don't know why it randomly just fell over now. But I think I'm going to stack it up like 3 high and then 2 high. And then that'll also help keep this fabric down on this area so that I don't have a bunch of weeds growing up. And I had some seeds coming up and I'm probably going to have to redo all of that and planting because so much of this got knocked out. Got some beans. I've never really grown beans, so I don't know if these are ready to pick or if I have to wait later. I think this one is a bush bean. I'll have to look that up and see if these are ready to pick now. And I have green onions I just put in. I think these are candy sweet onions that we're doing this year. I don't know how well they do as far as lasting the winter, so hopefully they do decently enough. Because we didn't do any other kinds of onions. My one strawberry plant that's over here still. And then there's actually 2 on the end I think next to each other, but there's 3 corn that are growing up. They just randomly came up. I almost pulled them up while weeding. I figure I'll let them go and see what they are. They're probably that ornamental corn that I had planted last year. And then we have this short green stock planter is all full of strawberries. Here's this one all planted up. How did a rock get in there? And then of course we added on this bed on this side. There's again 2 tomato plants that I dug up from the yard. I'm gonna put this strawberry in there because there's a couple of them that I think did not make it. I had this old feed pan laying around that's open on the bottom, so I thought I could use that as a planter. I think I'm gonna keep this one in there because this is a pine berry and my plan was to plant all the different kinds of berries in there, each in their own pot, but they were so growing all over the place inside the garden bed. Like this whole garden bed was overtaken with them. Because there's Juneberry and Everberry and then pine berries in that one. But I had no way of telling which ones were which, so it's just all mixed up in there. And here we have a special plant growing up. I'm going to see how well it grows and then maybe I'll do another video on that once or if it actually matures. I was hoping to be done with this garden already, but I'm still working on it. I have most of this side is mulched, but there's still weeds coming up here and there, so I'm going to have to weed and probably layer down even more mulch, like these ones over here. And I've been wanting stock tanks, and then I go in the barn every single day and somehow I miss this. The bottom of it's all cracked. So I'm going to use that to plant Well, we have these sweet potatoes, so I'm thinking I might put 2 or 3 in there, and then some in the garden bed. And then I also have a box of shallots that I still need to get planted. Although I don't know if I'm going to do shallots in here. I think I'm going to put carrots and sweet potatoes if they can be planted together. And I have this, I'm pretty sure it's a Shasta daisy. It was looking great like a couple days ago, and now all of a sudden it looks like it's dying, and I don't know why. It's been kind of dry, but I've been trying to water the garden at least a little bit, and I just put the sprinkler in there last night to really give it a good amount of water. But I don't know if it's gonna die or not. I have some random zinnias I planted here and there. I only had 2 columbines come up this year, and I dumped seeds in here hoping for more, but nothing ever came up. And probably because I mulched it, I haven't had any foxgloves, so no foxgloves for this year. I started some Mexican sunflowers, and there's 2 of them I planted. They're still really small though. I saw this, I think it's a geranium. It's not one I've ever seen before, so I decided to get one. And we have some dahlias that I bought that are starting to grow. I forget what that's called. I don't know if it's like I don't think it's a pincushion flower. But I had multiple of them in here. Did somebody dig a hole right there? But this whole side right here had multiple of this one, which a lot of it was just what spread from that, and I had dianthus, and none of that came back this year, so I wanted dahlias again, so I decided I'll just plant them up in this front part, and then they're easier to dig up in winter. I have some of these I planted. I guess it's a type of gladiola. It's going to get white flowers on it. And of course we have the salvia and whatever this plant is that I dug up from his grandma's house and replanted over here. Another Mexican sunflower. I want to say I might have thrown black oil sunflower seeds over here, so that might be what these are. This is where like it ends, and I'm still working on the garden. I think I might just wind up digging everything up on this side, because all of this space right here is supposed to be phlox, but all that grass just overtook it, so I think I might wind up just digging it all up now. There's a couple coneflowers trying to grow up in there. I might dig those up and separate them out. Another dahlia. My false indigo. Oh, and there's another dahlia growing underneath that. This kind of got big and fell over. Otherwise, I wouldn't have planted that so close. I might dig it up and move it. And then, of course, my random patch of cornflowers over here that I probably should dig these up and separate them out and move them around. I don't know if this, because this is the blazing star, and I thought that's what this was, but this is a lot more. It's not growing like the other ones. It's like a bush rather than a stalk. I don't think it's a weed. That cornflower. And then this part's kind of not that great. I have to move stuff around, and then I also need to get this stuff in the back taken care of so it's not growing into the back up into the garden. My roses of Sharon. A nice random birch tree that decided to grow up in the yard. Let's see if I can't dig it up and pot it and sell it for like $5 or something. Maybe somebody wants a birch tree. And now that I think about this, I wonder if this is a Shasta daisy or if this is my green coneflower. I'm not sure now. I don't know if it's gonna live or not either, with how it's looking. And I have this garden somewhat cleaned up. I wanted to mulch it, but I'm probably gonna need more mulch, but I'll have to see. Kind of broke, especially with my car now costing me almost $2,000 in repairs in like the last month and a half. But I've been trying to keep up with the weeding and it's doing okay. But these stupid, whatever this is so rampant with wanting to come up in here. And I have some, actually this just came back on its own, that blazing star. Here's one of those gazania, whatever it is. Cornflower that I had in here. Hostas, fern. Then my two little trees. I think they're dwarf Alberta spruces. I don't even know how much I paid for them, but they were on sale. I'm glad I got them now because I do like them. Then we have this garden, which suddenly started getting a ton of weeds and stuff growing up in here. I think, at least for this like center part, a lot of that looks like it's bok choy seeds coming up again. I think all of these along here are cauliflowers that I planted. I know a couple are Romanesco and maybe the other ones are the purple cauliflower. Well, or two of them might be broccoli. I don't remember what I put in here now. And I have zucchini all along the edges of the garden. I'm going to try and stake them up because I saw something about growing them more vertically. So I'm going to try and test that out. There is a tomato plant here that I also dug up from the yard, but something snapped it. There's some leaves coming out of it, so maybe it'll regrow. And then there's the other one that's doing decently. And then we have a broccoli with broccoli, which I need to pick off because I think that plant is way too small to have broccoli yet. This is the pool that I always had for them to use in this part when we put the geese over here. But the back is finally just really split open that I decided I'll use it to plant stuff in. So I'm going to plant my shallots in here, and if there's still room after I do all the shallots, I'm going to put some carrot seeds in there. There's another tomato plant, more tomato plants. I do know that this one up here is one we bought. That's a mortgage lifter, and then next to it I have two squash melons. I don't remember what I put there, but there's a stake that says what they are. Then we have corn. It's all popcorn corn. And then there's a sunflower next to them and one behind them. And then I have some sunflowers planted here. I also have a melon down there, but it's so small. I don't think anything's gonna happen with that this year. My hanging pots did come out nice. That one's got one of those gazania plants, flowers in it. And this middle one, if it looks different, the whole pot, for whatever reason, came falling down. And I was hoping that these kind of like burlap plant liners would last longer. They do have like a plastic lining, which I didn't really like. But I thought they would last longer than just the burlap, or not the burlap, the coconut shaving type pot liners. But now I know that they aren't any better. I'm better off just using these liners. But yeah, this year's gardening is kind of a disappointment, but I'm just trying to work on having things all set up and prepped, and then that way next year I don't have to worry about as much as far as getting like spaces cleaned up and figuring out where things are going to go, or building a new bed and having to fill it up with dirt. I almost forgot there's our potatoes this year. We extended it out a little bit farther this way, so we'll get a little bit more this year. I wanted to do a lot more with the potatoes, and with moving the pens around, we had like that space, and then the space next to it you can see is most of the grass and stuff is dead. I was hoping to expand it out further that way for potatoes, but that didn't work out either, so maybe next year.